Tensions really escalated in the last debate of the evening, the presidential debate. This debate is going to decide who becomes your president for the next academic year. Tarik, Kaled, Victor and Shahana fought it out to win hearts and votes.
Tarik, what do you believe are the key issues facing students at the University of Westminster, and what will your priorities be if elected, particularly considering the substantial increase in tuition fees from 2012?
Okay, well, the key issues I highlighted this year were jobs, money and ethics, and I aim to address these issues as the core issues that for my presidency I will tackle. And I believe that these are issues that need to continue to be addressed. However, I would say that with the governance review that took place in the Students' Union last year, which highlighted that we should move towards a new structure in the Students' Union whereby we will have campus-based representatives such as VP of Regent, VP of Cavendish, VP Marylebone and Harrow. I think that with this new structure, with the new school students associations, we'll be able to facilitate the new change for incoming students who are faced by the rising tuition fees. How will we do this? Well, we've managed to get the university to give us, the Students' Union, the right to lead student-led inductions. So in line with my jobs objective, we have sent out advertisements for students to get involved with the Great Start project, which is taking place currently. Students are being recruited, to be able to be the student ambassadors right at the start in September, to be able to, give student-led inductions. They'll be known as fans, and they'll be allocated, like 24 students to be able to go to different places within the university and really experience right from the get-go what it is to be a student. But I would say that these three issues, jobs, money and ethics, will continue, as well as make sure that the school student association structure works well and that there is a smooth transition. And I think that we've laid the groundworks and the foundations for that to happen.
Great, thank you. And Victor, what do you believe are the key issues facing students at the University of Westminster, and what will your priorities be if elected, especially considering the increase?
I believe the University of Westminster students, from what I gather, I've spoken to so many students around the campuses, there's a sense of the lack of community that has been forgotten. Itself also the integration of students as a community. Literally, I know and understand that there were 5 different campuses and we all have different needs, different issues, but at the same time, it's very divided, and it's something that I'm going to tackle because I believe this adds an extra value, and it's very important because the fees are going to stay there. I don't think they're going to change. Of course, we're going to try to get them down on time, but I believe till that, the students expect a lot for their money. And if they come to the University of Westminster and the university promised them a sense of community, an experience, a university experience that everybody else has, and they come here and they realize that we're socially divided, that there's not enough events, that there's no, that the student union is not really listening to what they need, then literally, they're gonna feel like they've been robbed. They're getting into debt for the fact that what kind of experience are they getting? Just coming into class and going back home? That's not really what they should do. So my priority is community, integration into the university.
Okay, once more, what do you believe are the key issues facing students at the university, and what will your priorities be if elected, especially considering the fee increases?
Thank you. I think we have to obviously look back at the beginning and understand what the student union is there for. It's there to facilitate a good relationship between the students and the university board or the university as a management, as a school. And I think the current issue at the moment is that students don't feel represented well enough, and students don't feel like they have a role or a responsibility towards the student union. And that is what I want to come up to, and that is why one of my main issues is I want to have a better better democracy in our university. And how do I do that? I want to introduce a weekly union general meeting. What do I mean by this? By the weekly union general meeting, every single student is able to come and attend these meetings and propose union policies and motions to dictate the direction that the student union takes. So if, for example, any student feels they have an issue that they're upset with or something they want to present, for example, social sciences, if they had that platform to campaign against for better libraries or for improved hours for libraries, they would have came to the student annual general meeting or union general meeting, as I propose, and they would have stood up and said, listen, we're passionate about this, I want to propose this. This is the way I really think that we should engage with our students, and that's the main issue actually affecting students. Yes, money is an issue. Yes, ethics is an issue, and everything else is an issue. But the most important thing we have to remember is that engagement with our students, because in the end of the day, we are paying £9,000 for next year, and we're paying 3,000 something, and therefore we need to feel a sense of responsibility, and we need to feel that the university and the student union is actually giving us something back, and that's my main thing. As well as diversity and equality, this is a fact. We're one of the most diverse universities in the country, and we're not doing enough to. We're not doing.
I think too many students are being left out. Too many students are being forgotten. So I want to remove this huge barrier between students, disabled students, people who are from overseas, and integrate everybody and make, one is integrate and involvement, and the other one is student well-being. So the way I want student well-being to improve is, I've noticed how counselling is not good enough at university. If you want to make an appointment, you have to wait 2 weeks. That is not right. In 2 weeks, anything can happen. And in that 2 weeks, the student will drop out. Nobody knows the student has dropped out. Nobody's tracking the students, what's going on. So that is, one is student well-being, and the other one is integration and involvement. I think students are feeling left out and not appreciated. So I would encourage them to join societies, extracurricular activities to relieve stress and sports and stuff like that. So, and how to integrate them is promote societies meeting. I mean, recently we've been having so many problems between societies. This is so wrong. Like, why don't we, this is what I plan to propose, have societies inviting other societies to events and have an event for that, hosting these events for other societies, and then vice versa, that society hosts an event for this society. This is how we will just broaden our minds with new ideologies, new religions, new cultures, you know. So,
all four of you have touched upon, you know, the idea of integrating all the students and promoting diversity. But what would you do, for example, to meet the needs of different groups, like the lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transsexual community in Westminster, or international students, which have a huge proportion of Westminster students are from other countries? What would you do in that case?
Is it directed at someone specifically, or everyone can answer? Everyone
can answer.
I think that should have been an issue, really. Whether we have an LGBT society, whether we have a ISOC, whether we have GIS, Global ID Society, whether we have any other society. At the end of the day, we're here as students, and we all pay the same fees, and we all need to be represented fairly and equally, and all presented the same opportunity. So I think as a student union, it's a duty, but us running for a position to represent students, we can't at one point say we can't represent these groups, because if we are saying that, then I think we're running, and I'm sure my candidates here will agree. If we are going to attempt to push any other sort of society or any other group to the side, then this is the wrong position. We have a duty to represent everyone fairly and equally, regardless of where they're from or what society or what other beliefs they have.
What do you think about that, Jamal? What would you do for the lesbian, gay, bisexual?
Tarik.
Sorry, can I say it again? Oh my god. And what do you think, Tarik, about it?
No, I think that no student should feel discriminated against. I feel that, you know, through the achievements that we've done this year, such as, you know, like campaigning for 24-hour libraries for all students, and we lobbied the university hard to get, you know, drinks vouchers for students at Marylebone and Harrow. These are issues, you know, that are relevant to all students. No particular group should feel, like I said, discriminated against, and I think that we have the necessary mechanisms in place to ensure that should any students face any issues. We've just recently recruited, you know, 2 new welfare advisors that are going to be in place in the central London campuses. All students have the same access, so I think that will be there, you know, to facilitate discussion there.
Do you have anything to add?
Yes, I believe, sorry Tarik, I think you deviated from the question, because really giving coffee to all the students is not actually any form of, you know, sorting out discrimination, because literally that's not a really important point there. It is important for students to get some feedback when there's the constructions going on, but I believe it's the job of the student union to actually identify who is not being represented and the reasons why. If the people are not being represented, it's not entirely their fault. There must be some problems in the way, some barriers that are blocking the communication. So it's literally the job of the president of the student union actually identifying, moving on, approaching it and facilitating it. In the case of the LGBT society, they haven't had an officer representing. We don't know the issues, but I believe that the role of the president should be approaching it, helping them to get through the training and get them to represent them. Because I believe that we have to do, it's not them coming to us, it's literally us going there and sorting it out.
Okay, and what do you think this is?
Once again, for all societies, for example, overseas students, they're finding it difficult to progress their English. So providing that platform to interact with other societies and making an active role in making sure these societies are successful. I believe the success of these societies are the student union's responsibility, and also to make sure that no society is dormant and inactive.
And Tarik, what
Yeah, I just wanted to come back and say to the candidates, specifically, here, Victor, if you've been following what the Students' Union have been doing and their move to the new structure, i.e. the School Student Association, you'll find that when we move to the local campuses, students will be represented locally, and whereby the Students' Union will decentralize its office space so that students have more accessibility to the Students' Union, and we'll have mini student unions across each of the different campuses, whereby students, should they face any issues, they will be, like I said, with the appointment of 2 new welfare advisors, should feel any discrimination, etc., that help is available, and that more representation is going to be taken to the students themselves. So to say that we aren't addressing the issue, or we are not, looking to proactively represent students is wrong, because we are moving to the School Student Association structure, and I find it actually quite, if you're going for the president position, you would want to follow what the Students' Union is doing to be able to smoothen the process, and no one here actually has put out the fact that, we are here moving to a new structure.
Just to get back to you, Tarik. Of course, you have done a moving into an initiative, and I believe that all of us would have actually chosen that path because it's the correct path to follow. That each individual campus has their own problems and should have their own BP. So there's nothing to question that you're the only person capable of doing that. And other candidates, if they were in your shoes, they would have followed the same thing. But the problem, just to kind of tie up there, the problem is that in order to everybody to integrate, we have to make sure there's some set of rules that we have to promote democracy, no discriminations against any religion, against genders or sexuality, and any cultural background. We have to be that established. All the societies must be able to communicate and respect each other because we're one community.
If I could just bring back to what the point that Tarik made regarding we're moving to a new structure. Yes, we are, and now we're going to have 5 sabbaticals instead of 4, which is great. But let's not sugarcoat it how the whole system is, because it appears from outside as a good thing. But we're forgetting that by giving everyone dividing the roles now each campus, that was the role of the course reps. Now we're basically automatically eliminating the course rep position, but not giving them enough roles. However, not even that. The next thing is that we're actually devolving power from the students. How we're doing it? Because now who's going to represent Smoke TV? They said that we're going to have a full-time staff. Who's going to represent all the other, for example, now we have too many, we're going to have all the other Smoke TV, Smoke Magazine, we're going to have full-time staff instead of elected representative representing them particularly.
Okay,
and one thing, I mean, Tarik, you deviated quite smartly from the question. The question was specifically on LGBT. Do you as a president represent the LGBT? Do you feel like you have to represent them? Yes or no would be a good answer, please.
As a president, as head of representation, all students, like I said, are represented underneath the Students' Union, and that's my final answer. And coming back on the point that Kaled just raised about, course reps going to be inundated, and the fact that, Smoke TV and all of this is going to permanent staff, had you just done a bit of research, you would have found out that these tasks would have been delegated amongst the sabbatical officers that are going to be in the next post
If I could just say one thing, I think it's awesome him telling us that we should have done a bit of research, but if the website and the information was coming to us, we would know our facts. But as a student, I'm a final year law student, it's great him working in a student union, he's got this information firsthand. But as a student, how am I supposed to access information? If anyone in this room can actually say that they knew this information, hands up. But I doubt it. Only sabbaticals and people close to the society, close to the university. I can see sabbaticals, family members. Of course, I'm a student. I don't know this. and therefore it should be very clear in that respect.
But at the same time, you were still present at the event whereby Nick, the CEO,
yes,
introduced the Student Association structure, and he did mention the fact that, you know, has anyone got any questions about what the Students' Union is going to, what the School Student Association will bring? You had an opportunity to, you know, to ask more questions.
I recall actually being at the student union where Nick gave us the information regarding we're moving to the new system, and he did say quite clearly that we're going to move to a new system where we have 5 sabbatical officers, and someone raised the question what was going to happen to Smoke TV, Smoke Extra, and he said specifically that it would be delegated to a full-time staff. That is what I heard, that is the information we got as students. Thank you.
Okay, I've got one final question. I'm going to open this one to the floor actually. One question that people have been really urging us to ask is that given the controversy that surrounded the Global Ideas Society event earlier this month, how would you deal with a situation like that if you were president?
Oh, sorry, what was that?
Okay, so people have been urging us to ask you this, and it's about the Global Ideas Society event that occurred earlier this month.
Yes.
And given the controversy surrounding it, if you were president, how would you deal with a situation like that?
Okay, so the situation, from what I understand, is actually, I believe that it's quite healthy to have debate, ideologies going against each other. This is exactly what I want, actually, societies bonding, or not quite bonding, but learning about each other. And I think what I said about the society sharing and inviting each other, what if Global Ideas was to invite the other society and host an event for them, that would promote learning more about their ideas, vice versa as well, and you know, smoothing out any creases there between the societies. Just, you know, we live in a democratic society, everyone is allowed to express their opinion, and we're also allowed to oppose that.
Does anyone have anything else?
I think Global Ideas Society is a legitimate society. They have the right to represent their own views, the same as any other society. So no one should obviously point the finger towards them and say that they have no platform to speak or to express themselves. However, like many of the candidates, we would say that we accept freedom of expression and the freedom of sharing of ideas and beliefs, but what we can't accept is any incitement of hatred and disharmony or hostility between our students, because at the end of the day, we're here to obviously agree on issues. And that goes back to what I want to say as well, is that we should find what we agree on a common ground and stuff. At the end of the day, we're here students to do our best and to get degrees, to learn about each other. We're not going to agree with every single student. It would be crazy to assume so or to wish so. But let's find what we agree on and move on from there. And if I could just end on that note, please.
Yeah, the same thing as Kaled mentioned. I believe that freedom of speech should be there, but students need to understand that we're a big community, and as being a big community, we have different views, and we have to be able to communicate properly. To be honest, sometimes the problem is not what you say, but the way you say it. You know, and we have to understand that being so many different communities, we have to be able to respect. And if we're going to host some kind of debate, maybe the way to deal with it is maybe putting a person as a mediator to actually just make sure that there's a set of guidelines, you know, that actually doesn't instigate any kind of hatred or discrimination, any chance. But of course you could debate if you do it in the right way.
Okay, and Tarik?
Okay, as I was the current president and had to obviously deal with the controversy, I would say that I think it's important to sometimes own up when you feel that, you know, you feel that you could have done something better, and I think that we could have communicated the message much better to students after what happened with the reasoning behind the GIS event being banned the first time. As Students' Union President, I felt that because the university viewed it as a security issue, that they still have an obligation by law under the Education Act 1986 that, you know, freedom of speech and debate is allowed to take place on campus so long as, you know, it doesn't lead to violence. But in this case, I don't think that the university's reason was legitimate to, you know, fully cancel the debate. And subsequently, it took place at a later date, and people attended. It was very well attended, and it finished off on a positive note, with Smoke TV obviously recording it and people going to see.
I think first of all, Education Act 1994, and the second thing is that
1986.
Okay, and also as well as regarding the controversy, it's great, and like I said, we're here all to run for a position because we all think we can do a good job, and it's brilliant. No one's running here because they want to displace the other person or any personal thing, and I think they said it from the beginning. However, he did deal with it I personally think that SU dealt with it could have dealt with it in a better way, without mentioning, for example, staff members and comments which were maybe not legitimate as well and were not right. And that's just the comment I want to make.
So how about for the record that we say that those students and lecturers weren't a violent threat, and that if people had the opportunity to take out the university, who are the people, that should really, apologise?
Oh, just to end up on that note, I believe that, of course, things could always be done better. I believe that on the circumstances where things come out of the blue, literally it's really hard to deal with the things, and you're thinking on your feet pretty much. So on that, there's certain things that could have been better improved, but it's gone, and just it will become a chapter that we could look forward to the future president. But one thing I do want to bring back is the fact that some students might think that because a new president might come up, someone is taking the role from the previous president, doesn't mean that we're going to get rid of everything that they have built, because they have really good initiatives. But of course, I believe that they have lost the touch with the contact and the feedback, the communication and feedback, getting back if what they've done and the process is they're liking it. So, it's very important, the communication, the students, saying, they initiate it, and the students being saying, what, well done, I like it, constantly, not just one time when it's been launched throughout the way. So, yes, I would like to end up on that note.
Which is why we have so many focus groups and surveys that go out, and, we have a pool of students who are active researchers that come into the university, that come into the Students' Union, and we've recruited actually a research manager to be able to develop and find out what the issues are on the relevant campuses so that we can address these issues. We are constantly finding out and gathering research on how to better improve the student experience. And this is all behind works. You're not going to see this out. But what you do see is the improvements in the later stages in the future. Hence why you need to see and you need to have the continuity that students need. This is why,
Oh, I'm sorry, just to get back very close on that. I believe that, they could be done it, but I believe all the other candidates have the skills to do it.
Okay.
And do it harder and persuade it.
Could you, would any of you like to raise points on each other's manifestos at all? I imagine you've read everyone else's. Yeah. So if there's anything that you'd like to mention or any points you'd like to raise.
We only have 4 minutes left in our regards.
So very, very quickly.
1 minute.
What's probably easiest you all go along and any points that you want to make them, and then people can answer them. So
we'll just go one by one, yeah.
Victor.
Yeah.
And so on. So
okay,
raise a point each, and then.
Can I launch in my manifesto? I bring a mission, which is bringing back, developing the entrepreneurial spirit, literally empowering the students to go and try something. So if they see that there's a problem, try to fix it themselves. And a very good example of this is the Hearist, the editorial, which is literally students who feel that the media that is out there is actually not doing and not giving the students.
Do you have questions for?
Yes, it will lead to that. And okay, no problem. And literally taking it up themselves. So in your manifesto, Tarik, you mentioned on the fact that you will support the students who wish to run the independent media outlets. Mm-hmm. Why haven't you done that before? Why haven't you taken those ideas that have been flying around for a while and integrated into the smoke media? Because that's what feedback and communication is.
No, because simply maybe students don't want to be affiliated to the Students' Union. And I think that having an independent organisation will actually hold the Student Union accountable. Oh. And that is much more, why have a... Yes, I concede that Smoke Extra newsletter may have not been the best, or may have not been good. But at the same time, I accept and I acknowledge that with the work of the Hearist, and they say, they do, and what they do, they say.
And I have brought up on that point on my manifesto that it is, you have to empower. So there's a lot of ideas flying around the campuses, but the Student Union has a duty to actually help those students pursue those initiatives and make them happen.
Thank you. And do you have anything else to add about each other's manifestos and points you'd like to raise, just very quickly?
I think Tarik, yes, he done a alright job, I guess, and all the people they did. We're not going to take away credit because they did do something. They did bring the 24 hours library. They did organise the biggest conference into the biggest student conference, which I think I was there, but I don't remember it being the biggest. And it says in his manifesto it's something which it seems to be they're very all buzzing about. which I don't know why. Regarding to the hearist and the back to sort of independent.
Specifically about the manifesto.
Yeah, we need to get straight to the point.
Okay. Everything basically. Tarik said, "I've done this and I've done this, and it's going to come in September. Social spaces in September." I want to tell him, it's not, when you run for a position, you have to present what you've done now. And yes, you've done, for example, and you set up your Al Presidente sort of Facebook page where you're giving people sort of information about jobs and stuff. But I think anyone else could have went into any other website and done the same thing, which is helpful, yes. But I think a president should do something more creative. Why couldn't we have, for example, someone who go as why don't we organise a student union where we speak to all the outlets out next to our university, Costa, Starbucks, all these next to us, all these different restaurants, and organise some sort of discount card. That's the way we should be, more creative in our thinking and better in the way we do. That brings. Sorry, go.
I have two. Is that okay? Okay. So one is for Tarik. You say continuity is. Well, I believe that it's not going to be as successful as you say, because I've been approaching many students, and you say some people don't want to be part of the student union. Too many people in my campaign have me turning around and saying, what is the SU? Who are the SU? How do you explain that?
Okay, so
if you want to answer both of them at the same time, just because we're literally running out of time on the memory cards.
Okay, so I understand that you're a student at Regent's campus, and I find it hard. I mean, obviously, yes, maybe students may not be as involved in the students' union, but you know, we have done work to ensure that we can have a students' union office at Regent's campus. We got that. We managed to do that, and we listened to what students wanted. We had microwaves in there, you know, for people to use, etc. We listened to what students had to say, and that is one of the prime locations. And it doesn't stop there. Like I said, you know, we've got the agreement for the deep end space start of September. But I think it is important to mention these things because to ensure that you do a job well and to ensure that you know finish off what you started. The reason why these presidential positions have 2-year terms is simply for the fact that you can rerun again to be able to finish off what you started and what you began.
But that doesn't. Yes, you do. You have the opportunity to rerun, but that doesn't give you the privilege of saying, doing your working to your manifesto, or doing to your policies or politics in terms of making everything happen in for example, 2012, to automatically give you the opportunity to say, I deserve to rerun. Okay. You do what you have to. You have the privilege of running 1 year to serve students, and that's what you should do. Your utmost to do in that 1 year.
Many of the things that are in the manifestos of Tarik are shared in the manifestos of the other guys. So I believe that even if Tarik doesn't be elected as president, the manifestos, the things, the ideas, they will still be taken on. The presidents are not going to destroy anything. New presidents are not going to destroy anything. Are going to take what is there and improve it. That's what good leaders do.
And Tarik, do you have anything?
I would just like to say, you know, on Kaled's manifesto where it says reform our constitution so that students hold decision-making power. I mean, we have a new constitution, it just needs to get signed at the next Court of Governors meeting. So, you know, to be able to reform and make is, I don't know where you would put that if that's already been done. Secondly, I would say that with to introduce a weekly union general meeting where every student is able to propose and decide union policies, I think you would end up with a situation whereby you have non-representative views. I mean, we're already moving to the School Student Association structure whereby we'll have local campuses and we'll have local representatives at each campus whereby you'll have a course rep council meeting because they're not being redundant, they are still being kept, and that we are going to have people who are going to be well trained. We've got secured funding for course reps to go on residentials and will learn transferable work skills which coincides with the jobs, money and ethics agenda that I've set for this year and hopefully continue on.
If I can say something, please, because excuse me. Sorry. I don't think it's fair because everyone spoke for more time than others.
The memory card.
Can I just make a quick point? Is it out of time?
You can speak quickly.
Okay. Basically, regarding the first one, the constitution, the constitution should have been reformed in 2011. That's what it said when we moved into a temporary one about 3 years ago because the SU wasn't being run properly. It should have been reformed in 2011. I knew it was going to be reformed. Maybe not me, but someone else. And secondly, regarding the meeting,
can I finish?
I respected you. I respected you.
Sorry,
I respected you. It doesn't have to be on a record. It doesn't have to be on a record. It's between us. It's not for people to see. The second one is regarding the weekly union general meeting. The weekly union general meeting is there for everybody. We don't want to risk dividing people only to one campus. And more so, we can make it compulsory for presidents of societies to attend these meetings because they take responsibility upon themselves to be society presidents. Therefore, take the responsibility to represent everyone. And end on that.
Still recorded on the small camera.
I have a question.
Keep going if you want. You've still got time.
Regarding the 5 officers you want to recruit, considering the cuts and the new sabbatical structure, why is it so necessary to have these
officers? These officers are called liberation groups. Minorities need to be represented in all universities. So a women's officer, a part-time student officer, and other officers, they need to be represented. These are part-time officers. I'm not suggesting we should give them a full-time position. No, we'll give them a part-time position. We represent everyone, but we don't need to pay them. And that's the point I want to make.
And will you make sure that those officers will be on all campuses? So there will be one for each campus?
No,
because like again I said, it will be an issue whereby it will be non-representative.
Of course it will be represented because, like I said,
there's 20,000 students, and if you have one officer for all 5 campuses, this is going back to the old structure. But we're moving away from the old structure, and we're going to the new one, whereby we have more representation.
In what respect, sir? It doesn't make sense. I'm saying that we should have liberation officers to represent women's part-time, and they could be like we are presidents. They're part-time officers representing these groups. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying.
Is that completely separate from the VPs, a different role?
No, these officers already exist in our university. They just don't have someone they're not vacated by people. Let me just make that clear.
They don't exist. Oh. They used to exist, but they don't anymore.
So what happened? They got taken away?
No, when we came into position, they weren't in place.
But if you
I think it's the role of the VP president and the president to support these minorities rather than delegate them.
But if there's a specific minority and they feel the need for them to be represented, then we have to respect that request by them and we have to give them someone to represent them. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying we should divide our university and increase the division between us.
If any of you got any final points, because we've only got this camera and we still need to get Miriam, DP Cav and one of the NUS delegates. So we in the interest of fairness, we need to be able to record them as well. You guys have been going for half an hour, so if you've got anything. Like 10 seconds, 20 seconds, then make them that.
I would just say, vote for substance. Vote for substance, not slogans. Vote for the people that did bring change and will hopefully, bring comprehensive change, not Mickey Mouse change. And I would also say leaders like Malcolm X inspire me because when it comes to getting the job done, we get it done by any means necessary.
Great. I just want to kind of finalize on the fact that all the other candidates are also very capable of doing the job, and we believe that we have the skills. I believe that communication, feedback, entrepreneurship, and of course bringing back that spirit, the university spirit that we have forgotten, and let's make us proud. And it's only going to happen if the students integrate.
I won't disrespect Tarik and his group, so I won't say anything about the slogans or anything because there needs to be nothing to said. They were running last year, and if he's complaining about slogans, they were running last year and they had a slogan. Yes, he had the job for 1 year, and people can see for themselves who to vote for. If they believe he's done a good job, then vote for the person you think has done a good job. If you see the candidates and you think they could do a better job, then vote for those candidates who you think are going to do a better job. And I'm just going to leave it at that.
As a student president, I would like to not just form any sort of allegiance with any particular society or student body. I would like to represent individuals and making sure that they get their best of their experience at university, making sure nobody is left out.